What's going on, guys? Dawko back again. I hope you are fantastic today and welcome back to another Five Nights at Freddy's sister location theory. Now in this episode we're going to discuss on why Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is so connected with this sister location. We're going to be discussing about the map links in the breaker room. We're also going to be discussing why they're linked together and how the blueprints of the sister location animatronics can connect with Five Nights at Freddy's 4. And we're also going to be talking about the secret ending office where we see the TV screens of the FNaF 4 bedroom and fun with plush trap. And finally, we're going to discuss about the Fredbear plushie holding the walkie-talkie. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Once again, if you guys have got any different ideas on this theory or any ideas, let me know down in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the map. Now, if you didn't know, if you go into the breaker room and try and repair all the power and keep away from Funtime Freddy, you can actually see something really interesting. You can actually see that it's not just the map of sister location, it has some other parts as well, which people have compared to the FNaF 4 locations. First off, we're going to look at the top left, which is actually the exact same map as the FNaF 4 minigames. As you can see, the white spot represents the player. We go up, the right is the sister's room, left is the TV room, down the road, right, up, and we get to the Fredbear's location. The bottom left, you can see that it's a small corridor with 4 different squares, and this is actually fun with plush trap. You can see that the corridor is exactly the same. The white dot again represents the player, and the little grey one represents plush trap. And interestingly enough, there's actually some other dark squares in the other rooms as well, which I'm going to be talking about later. Finally, at the top right, again, the white dot represents the player. This is actually the room in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. You can see the 2 corridors and the kitchen on the right. And again, the grey little squares represent the Nightmare animatronics, which again, I'm going to be talking about later on. Quick note as well, the top left minigame does have these squares as well, and those represent Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. Now, if you have a look closely, folks, there's actually links between them. They're not separate. There seems to be like little ventways or little corridors or little possibly stairs which lead down to the sister location underground. I'm pretty sure we was told by Mr. Handy that the sister location baby's rental hire is not connected at all with the other franchise. I thought they were rivals, but it looks like here they could actually be together. One key example is in the FNaF 4 minigame when we're going into Fredbear's Pizzeria. Now, we don't know the name of this place, but it looks like Fredbear is the key guy. So it could possibly be Fredbear and Friends, which represents 1983, which once again I'm going to be talking about later. Or it could be just a Fredbear Pizzeria. I don't think it's Fredbear's Family Diner because I'm pretty sure that was set in the 70s and we're getting an 80s vibe, again 1983 at this location. But if you remember the Easter egg in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 where the doors open and you see Purple Man putting on the Spring Bonnie costume to somebody, that is actually the identical place on where the corridor or stairs or whatever leads to the sister location. However, with the other entrances we can't really see because the fun with plush trap, it's on the far right. We can't turn to see where that is. And again, the FNaF 4 locations at the far back, and we only can look between the corridors and the rooms. But why would these be connected? It's kind of strange how like a house is connected to the location, unless it's owned. The house is owned by the owner of the location, so it's a quick route to get there. Purple Man or William Afton. Fun with plush trap is interesting as well because in the FNaF 4 game, we play in that room, but the fun with plush trap room is far, far away from that house. So how does that possibly work unless we're playing as 2 separate children in the game? Now, I definitely think that this could be true. If you remember in the FNaF 4 minigames, there was a child who really liked his finger trap. He had a little Spring Bonnie plush. Now, doesn't that seem interesting that that could be the one who's possibly having nightmares about this plush trap nightmare animatronic? To me it makes sense because it doesn't make sense how a boy could teleport from that place to the other in just a night like that unless William Afton takes him when he's bet the night and drags him all the way down to Fun with Plushtrap, then it would make sense, but it's still weird and it doesn't make sense how it could happen like that. I personally think that there's actually separate children having these nightmares and not just one child, which goes on to the theory William Afton is experimenting, torturing, and as well killing kids. Now this is really, really dark. If you look at the blueprints of the sister location animatronics, we all know by now that these were designed to possibly kidnap as well as killing children. For example, the biggest one that was noticed was the Freddy storage tank. If you look inside the belly, you can see a child is in there. Now we don't know whether the child is dead or if it goes with this theory that the child is still alive and is just stuffed into the belly. Now when the party's over, the animatronics go back deep underground and take the child out. It's debated whether this child is already dead or it's still alive, but going on this theory, the child is still alive. William Afton or an employee takes the child, kidnaps them and places them in one of these rooms to experiment with. If you remember what I was talking about earlier, guys, the grey squares in the FNaF 4 bedroom represented the nightmare animatronics. Isn't it interesting how William Afton knows where they are? If there were nightmares and all the hallucinations, how would William Afton know that that's where they're placed? Guys, what if they weren't hallucinations or nightmares at all? What if they were actually created to terrorise, scare and torture children? Because like I said, guys, it's interesting how there were actually grey squares representing the animatronics, and if it's hallucinations or nightmares, how would William Afton know that that's what the kid is going to have nightmares about? On the other hand, if the grey squares mean nothing, there's another theory as well, that gas leaks or something, or William Afton uses gas to make the children hallucinate, to make them have nightmares of animatronics. To back up that these nightmare animatronics are real, we're going to go back to Fun with Plushtrap. As you can see, we always thought that there was one Plushtrap in the middle of the corridor. But if you see the other grey squares, it looks like there's actually 5 Plushtraps in the room. But like I said, guys, if these little grey squares mean nothing, then again, it can go with the hallucination theory, because we know in all the Five Nights at Freddy's games, for example, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, that phone dude says, like, you know, the gas leaks can cause hallucinations, and in other Scott's games, we've always had something about gas leaks in all these games, and especially this sister location game. It just backs the theory that possibly that these animatronics were real. It backs the theory that William Afton is torturing, kidnapping children, experimenting with them, because all the rooms link up with sister location. And he also has cameras of the room as well in the secret office, which no one is supposed to go to. It's called private for a reason. So when we get into the secret room, put the code 1983 and you get the TV screens of the room. You also get it with the Fun with Plushtrap. So it seems that William Afton owns these rooms. They're completely separate. Like I said, the Fun with Plushtrap is at the bottom left and the house is at the top right. It's incredibly dark how William Afton wants to do this. It seems that he must have a motive on why he wants to experiment and torture children. It's incredibly sick. And that's probably why Scott said this is the darkest game out of all the franchise. Finally, in the secret room, you see the Fredbear plushie holding a walkie-talkie. Now again, this backs the theory of William Afton torturing, experimenting with children's minds. What if, guys, the Fredbear plushie was not possessed, and Scott has placed that walkie-talkie next to the Fredbear plush for the reason to say that it was actually William Afton all along speaking to the crying child. It can easily be cut out on the back, the walkie-talkie can be placed in, sewn back up, and the child would legit think that the Fredbear plush is speaking to him. It's an absolutely crazy thought, folks. We always thought that the Fredbear plushie was possessed, But actually, with Scott's little hint of the walkie-talkie next to it, it could actually be a complete trick. And William Afton is tricking the child to do things. So hey, that was a little theory about William Afton's experiments. But there is a definite link with Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and Sister Location 100%. Whether William Afton was experimenting with the kids or not, there is a 100% link between these locations. Another idea, guys, that William Afton is just being a protective father, and he's probably looking after his kids with the camera screens and stuff, and he's put the walkie-talkie inside the Fredbear plush to look after him. Don't you remember what you saw? Keep away from them, keep away. Kind of like what because his daughter died from the animatronic, maybe he's got super conscious not to let his son or anything die too. That's why he's got cameras in the screen, and that's why he's got the Fredbear with the walkie-talkie in to look after him while he's at work. But obviously that doesn't happen because the older brother shoves the crying child into the Fredbear and bites his head off. Don't you think William Afton would be really angry about that? Not now, only one of his daughters got killed by an animatronic by Baby. Now a second one has had his head chomped by the Fredbear animatronic. You can see probably why William Afton is starting to lose his mind now, with regret and guilt all heading up, which is probably why he goes back to the old location and scraps all the animatronics and everything, because he feels guilty now, but sadly he turns into Springtrap. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little theory. Let me know in the comments section down below whether you believe that Sister Location is linked with Five Nights at Freddy's 4. And let me know if you've got any more ideas about the link with Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and Sister Location. And the story about the experimenting with William Afton or the protective father. Let me know what you guys think, whether it's William Afton being experimenting with children or he's just being a protective father so he can look after his last two children because of the fate of his own daughter. Lots of love, guys, and I'll see you all next time.